Hi there, Psychic Medium Lauren Rainbow here, and I'm excited to take a few moments today to talk to you about one of my favorite temples in Egypt, Dendara, and one of my favorite deities connected to this temple, the Goddess Hathor. But to give you a little bit of a background about me and why I'm excited to share this with you today is, aside from being a psychic medium, I'm also somebody who loves to do sacred travel. And on top of just going to visit these beautiful places on my own, I actually do run journeys where I bring people to Egypt and many other beautiful sacred countries and help them kind of really connect with these gorgeous places. So, in many of my travels to Egypt, I have been able to really visit a lot of the different temples of the gods and goddesses. And over the years, this particular temple, Dendara, has really been capturing my soul each time I visit and really connecting more and more to the goddess Hathor as well, the goddess of love, joy, and wisdom. But first, I just want to share with you that these sacred sites and temples all over the world are really what I think are activators. They were all built long before we all existed here in this current state of the world and day and age, and were created by often shamanic people or other spiritual people, and really work to build these temples and sites in power spots. So each temple I've learned in Egypt tells a story of the Egyptian mythologies. And I really feel like when we visit these different temples, we're being activated by the magic of these stories that the Egyptians long ago knew, and the power of the word and the power of the hieroglyphs were going to leave a certain energy and frequency behind. So in the series where I'm going to do several videos on the different temples, I thought we'd start with Hathor and Dendara because it is still today, the Temple of Dendara, probably one of the most best preserved sites from what was existed long ago. When you walk into this temple, you'll still see hieroglyphs with their color. While it's not mostly intact, it can still give you a little bit of a glean of what it might have looked like long ago. And when we walk into Dendara, I call this place the Cosmic Temple because all over the walls in this temple are covered with stars and celestial topics. And, in the top of one area, you'll see the astrology symbols of long ago and also connecting us to the cosmic energy. But in this temple is my favorite hieroglyph in all of Egypt, and that is this beautiful hieroglyph of the goddess Nut. Now, Nut is the cosmic mother, and she is known to have birthed not only the cosmos, but she birthed Isis, Osiris, and Set and Nephthys, who are kind of the foundation story of Egyptian mythology. And we'll go into a whole other video just about these four siblings who are also coupled together as husbands and wives, because their story is pretty epic. But today we're going to talk specifically about Nut in this image, the cosmic goddess, where you see her up in this beautiful room I call the cosmic birth room. And up in the ceiling, you'll see Nut, who completely covers the ceiling. And in one part, she is taking in the moon. She's breathing the moon in. And as she swallows the moon, she then kind of allows that moonlight to kind of move down her body and birth the sun. So this particular image is just so gorgeous to begin with and so powerful to just stand in the space of the cosmic birth and to remind ourselves that we are beyond this world, that we are connected to more than just Earth. And, science is even teaching us now today that we are made of stardust. So, this kind of being in the space of the Nut image reminds me of that part of us that's connected to so much more than just being here on the planet, that we're connected to each other and we're connected to a greater cosmos. So the other thing to know about Dendara is all over the temple. There's built for sound, being the goddess of music and love and joy. There are many places in this temple where you can stand and sing, and your voice will carry beautifully throughout the temple and at the time back in the day over the land itself. So they're quite genius in the structure of building a temple for sound, and a place where many probably back in the day, and when you visit the temple, you may get that feeling of celebration and joy here. A reason why I think I feel more and more connected to this temple every time I visit. It really makes me feel happy and joyful and really connected to that part of me that loves to dance and play. So let's talk about the goddess Hathor. And many of you who are familiar with Hathor, you know her as the cow-headed goddess. She is also considered quite possibly the wife of Horus. And in that, they create a dynamic power couple. Now, in the original mythology of Isis and Osiris, Horus is the divine child. So that would make Hathor almost the equivalent to Mary Magdalene in the story, very similar. And she represents, divine feminine energy. She represents the energy of nourishment in the cow-headed goddess that she is. And the other thing I always find interesting in all of my travels around the world is how different mythologies have similar stories and similar connections. So in traveling to India many times, we learn, and you may know, that in India, the cow is considered a very sacred animal. And they are allowed to roam free, and they are often fed as a blessing to provide nourishment to the cow, provides nourishment to yourself. So here we see the cow-headed goddess of Hathor also representing the energy of nourishment. And when you're in her space, if you feel like you want to connect to more joy, more love, and to feel more nourished on the soul level, Hathor would be a great deity and goddess to connect with and invite into your space. She is also, as a medium, and any of my medium friends out there maybe really love to hear this, she's also considered a guardian of the afterlife. We see that also with Anubis as well, famously so. But really here, I think we see Hathor as the compassionate goddess who helps those in transition to the spirit. She brings compassion and allows them to feel nurtured on their way into probably their home life after they journey down here to the earth plane. And so when you come to visit Dendara, or want to connect to this from your own home, what you can do is allow yourself to do a gentle guided meditation and imagine that you're at Dendara and you're walking through the beautiful temple, connecting to all the celestial energies out there, letting that activate that cosmic love inside of you and really feel yourself connected to more than just here and now, but to everything that exists in this world and beyond this world. And one other beautiful, powerful thing I love about the Egyptian pantheon, and we see this in a lot of the hieroglyphs all over Egypt, is that the gods and the goddesses, or the Neteru of Egypt, they share each other's power. They're not just singular deities. They see themselves as a one. And really what becomes Hathor becomes the archetype or the vibration of love and joy. But there's many times where you'll see an image of Hathor, but say the symbol of Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess on top. And what that means is while we see the representation of Hathor in the actual hieroglyph, the symbol of Sekhmet on top of her head means that in this particular part of the myth or story that we're seeing on the wall of a temple is that Hathor is imbued with the energy of Sekhmet. And we'll talk about Sekhmet, my true favorite goddess of all of them, in a whole other video. But I'll share with you that Sekhmet is, the destroyer, but also the one who rebuilds. And Sekhmet is also the sacred witness. So we really learn that destruction is not a bad thing with the energy of Sekhmet, that in that she witnesses you for all of who you are, and the good and the bad that you feel lives within you. She will witness all of that beauty and embrace it all for you, as you are, with zero judgment. And thus she helps you break down inside of you or destroy these concepts that you may be less than or unworthy, and helps you stand up in your power. So when you see a hieroglyph of, say, Hathor with the symbol of Sekhmet on top, then Hathor is in the story, but she is taking in the power of Sekhmet, the power of perhaps rebirth or witness or destruction that is needed to carry out the part of the myth and the story that we're witnessing. So we see this a lot in the Egyptian lore, that many times when you're looking at an image of a god on a temple wall, you may not actually be seeing just Hathor. You may be seeing also a representation of a different deity helping the power power within the expressed or the graphic image. So if you're seeing Hathor, and again, Sekhmet is the image on top, then we're seeing the nurturing energy of Hathor, but also sharing that power of Sekhmet to create a more masterful movement in what that part of the mythology might be sharing with us on the walls of the temple. Now, in many parts of the temple, you'll often see gods and goddesses standing around an image of a pharaoh. And they often have their hands up and sending what we believe may be energy to imbue the pharaoh with the power of the different deities that are standing there in line. A really beautiful sign that when a pharaoh would take power, that pharaoh too would also start to carry the archetypal frequencies of the different deities in the Egyptian pantheon long ago. So all of that together just kind of reminds me that even sometimes as a lowly human, we still have the power to connect with these archetypal frequencies of the divine, to let them flow through us, to bring us inspiration and maybe help us move through the challenges that we're experiencing at that time. So if you feel called to the Goddess Hathor, it might be an invitation to connect with her and bring more love, more joy, and perhaps a little bit more play in your life. It may also be an invitation to remind you that you are connected to something bigger than just yourself, and something bigger than what's going on here on planet Earth, but that you are all of the cosmos living inside of you. And so I call her the cosmic goddess, and I call Dendara the cosmic temple. Visiting this temple is just a gorgeous, joyful experience. And if you ever go to Egypt someday, perhaps even on one of my journeys, will you connect with these gorgeous temples? Of course you will. But when you step into Dendara, I hope you too get to experience the beautiful frequencies of love and joy and the cosmic connection that lives inside and activates within you in this temple. So that's a little bit of a brief idea of what I've come to learn about Hathor and the Temple of Dendara on my many trips to Egypt. And check out my website at laurenrainbow.com. There are always journeys I have going on to Egypt, Mexico, Peru, India, and other wonderful magical places. And you can come visit these temples with me, be activated by their gorgeous light, and maybe even remember a part of yourself that has journeyed to these places long ago. I hope you have a gorgeous day, and thank you for joining me here. Please take a moment to share in the comments any of your thoughts or inspirations from this video, and click and subscribe if you want to see more as they happen. Have a good day.